Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Merry
Oh,
Christmas. God, it's 2024
the
already.
ravages of time.
Amazing. 2024. We haven't had any new Doctor Who yet this year, funnily enough. Um,
No,
God, haven't had Doctor Who for a whole year. God, terrible.
I mean, we're used to that.
That's true, yeah. But yes, we're back. We had a little break. We were just very busy. I've been slightly ill. All kinds of stuff's been going on. So we haven't had time to chat about the Christmas Day episode of Doctor Who, The Church on Ruby Road, which is
Mm.
exactly what we're going to talk about today. Um,
Oh,
I know, right? Spoiler
ah,
alert, in case you didn't know.
funny. How about that?
Um, this episode aired obviously on Christmas Day. It features Shooter Gatwa and Millie Gibson as the 15th Doctor and Ruby Sunday. It sees weird tricksy goblins causing havoc and stealing babies. Um, and yeah, I thought it was a fun time. What did you think of it?
I liked it.
Mhm,
Um, I, I do still think the second half's much better than the first.
mhm, mhm.
I do think it's still a bit slow and meandering, and I think some of that's the editing more than anything else.
Yeah.
But I rewatched it today for the first time. I enjoyed it a lot more this
Okay.
time around. Um, so I'm glad I did have the time to rewatch it. My impressions on Christmas Day, I was like, it was fine. I
Mm,
probably wouldn't watch it again unless
mhm,
we were doing a review of it.
mhm.
So I didn't have any motivation to rewatch it, but I did enjoy the 55 minutes I spent with it today. So that's fun. I definitely have more positive feelings about it now. I still think
Mhm,
it's far from my favorite like first full adventure for a Doctor by any means,
mhm.
but I do think it's a solid kind of adventure for a Christmas special, and I think it does set up a few interesting things for season 1/series 14, whatever
Yeah,
next year. No, this
we'll
year.
cover that
Oh
in
God!
this year.
Oh,
Yeah,
in
this
five
year
months. In five
in a
months'
few
time, maybe.
months. Yeah, God.
I'm so used to
Um,
saying, "Oh, and that series next year."
Next
Now
year.
we are in
Yeah,
that year now.
no,
Yes,
we are fully in
disgusting.
2024. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think yeah, I enjoyed it a lot on Christmas Day. I think it was all the excitement of no Doctor Who. And I think I've simmered on it a little bit more since then, but I've not been like, oh no, it's actually terrible. It is a good episode. It's a
R.I.P. Doctor Who. Am I right?
yeah,
They've gone
clearly
woke.
they clearly have gone woke. God, oh God. Uh,
Ugh.
but I think when we were previewing this episode, we said we just want a nice run of the mill Doctor Who episode, and I think this was a nice run of the mill Doctor Who episode.
Yeah.
Um, and that's fine. That's what it can be. I'll allow it. It's okay. Um, so as always, we have three positives and three negatives, or we try to. And I believe you get to go first this time.
Oh God.
Um, so what is your first positive?
New year, same me. I will continue to simp after Shooty Gatwa
Yeah, he's my
this
first
year.
positive as well. Don't
Um,
worry.
he's just I put Shooty Gatwa /15. He's so good.
Mhm.
He just he's walked into the role in the giggle, and it feels like he has been doing it for a while, which is really
Mhm.
nice. And it also makes sense for 15, who is a Doctor who's kind of started fully baked, if you will, not that kind of baked. Um,
Well,
but
we don't know that.
well, we don't know that. I mean, he made some crazy gloves. He must have been on something
Yeah,
when he made those. Like,
yeah.
imagine having that idea. Genius. Um, but yeah, he's brilliant in this. Whenever he's on screen, I'm just staring at him for multiple reasons. But
Mhm.
yeah, he has the commanding presence the Doctor has. I really enjoy his confidence, and it's not like, oh, what a smug asshole. But he manages to
Yeah.
get that, the balance of that. I think he nails. He has some really funny moments as well. He has some very heartfelt, sincere moments. The
Mhm.
scene with the policeman sticks out to me,
Mhm.
and him talking about being adopted and everything like that, continuing the timeless child stuff. So already very heartfelt, very funny. He can sing, he can
He
dance, he
certainly
can
can.
act.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
can't this Doctor do?
yeah.
So yeah, I really really enjoyed his performance. I thought he kind of nailed all the different emotions that were going on during the kind of the big portion at the start when he's not really in it, and it's just like they're setting up Ruby and her character, her family, and everything. I'm like, oh, I really miss 15? Where is he? When will my son come home from war? Which I think is a good sign that, I'm really enjoying his performance already. I can't wait to see more of him, but this was an excellent start for him. I think he was fantastic.
Yeah, I think I can't. Yeah, there's not really much else I can add to that. I think his performance all around was great, and he can clearly show his emotions as well. When it was, when Ruby sort of vanished from existence, and he was speaking to the foster mum, and sort of that emotional scene there, and even when he saw the baby sort of get left, I think he clearly showed in this episode that he has the range to show anything in this series.
Yeah, especially coming from watching him in Sex Education, and that's the only thing I've seen him, well, apart from Barbie, obviously. And he's like playing a teenager and everything in that, and he does it so well. It's just completely different. I don't think of Eric at all when I'm watching him in this. No. So it is crazy considering how iconic that show kind of has become in the last like 4 years that it's been airing for, and he was kind of one of the most iconic aspects of it as well. The fact that his performance is so good, you completely disregard that. Not every actor can escape being like, oh, it's you from Harry Potter. For example.
It's you, David Tennant, from Doctor Who. Twice.
Yes, 4 times. But yeah, I think the fact that he can break out of that is just very, very cool to see him really flex the acting chops in this.
Yeah, and it does make me excited for what's coming next. And we saw a little glimpse of that, obviously, at the end of this episode where they did a little, coming soon. You already get the feeling that there'll be many highs and lows from just the 8 episodes coming up, which is good. I'm excited to see where they take him, because obviously seemingly every Doctor that we've had in New Who, except maybe Eccleston, has sort of been like a funny guy at the start, and then eventually gotten depressed. slowly more depressed. So it'll be interesting to see if that follows here. How quickly he becomes depressed, I think, will be an interesting case. But
we'll have to see if he really is the bad luck like he was fearing.
Yes, well, I'm sure that won't play into the future in any way whatsoever.
Definitely not. No.
So what was your second positive then?
My second positive. Let's have a look. The kind of final act twist, I guess, like when Ruby vanished, and as that scene was playing out, I was like, oh, she's not there. Something's changed. Something's gone wrong. I was like, well, that was too easy. It's like 20 minutes later. What's going on?
Yeah. They're not just going to leave.
You know something's going to go wrong. Yeah. But, it's a thing that they've done before in Doctor Who and everything. But I was still like, oh, shit. So I really like that. It seemed all happy, hunky-dory, and like, oh, they sang a song and escaped and everything's fine. But then, timiness happens and the goblins got a goblin, I guess. So I just really liked, I guess, the tonal shift change from that moment when he realizes that she's gone, and the whole sequence of him kind of going back in time to save Ruby from the goblins and, using the gloves, coming back in it. The man pulls a ship down and stabs the big goblin king on the spire of a church. Incredible scenes. So I was like, yeah, hell yeah. So I like the kind of action aspect of Shooter's Doctor in that scene as well. So yeah, that whole kind of final act, I think, is what got me properly invested in the episode. I was like, yeah, this is fine. I was kind of meandering along with it. But my eyes were glued to the screen as soon as Ruby was gone, which isn't a reflection of Millie Gibson and their performance, because they like Ruby. Yeah, she's gone. Oh yes, now I can watch. That's not what I mean. But I just thought that was an interesting story beat. When I thought the story was sort of weak leading up to that point, I was like, here we go. Now it's Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's very
great, kind of big moment.
It's a very sort of average run-of-the-mill story at that point. And then the ending sort of kind of goes, oh, okay, and it takes it up a slightly different gear, which is good. And yeah, I do agree. I think that I wouldn't have seen that ending coming, even though they kind of hinted that they're, that they can go back in time and weave it in.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that, but it was
some very good ropes, aren't they? Jesus.
They are some very good ropes. They're very strong ropes as well to pull down a whole ship.
Ropes.
Thank God they didn't just snip them at the top, so they stopped coming down. They were just too busy wanting to eat the baby.
There's simply no time.
No. But yeah, my second positive is the dynamic between 15 and Ruby.
Yeah.
Because they were great. I think they had the little moment in the bar beforehand, which I think was fine. Yeah, that was okay. It was a fun scene. But I think they really kick it off. when he jumps onto the ladder.
Yeah.
And they break out, and he has the whole thing about Houdini and getting his hands out and learning ropes. I think that's literally learning the ropes. I think it's great. And his shout out to his little crawl that he does to the door, which is so funny. And I cannot, every time I see it, I just burst out laughing because it is hilarious the way he just runs arse up to that door. It's terrifying. And then, you know, when they're back in the flat as well, sort of the little the bantering, I guess, the sort of the giggling and slight quiet chats they're having, I think it really shows that they've already established this sort of best friendshipness. Which I really hope they keep. I really hope it's not best friends and then until they weren't kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think that's the route they're going.
Hopefully not, but you never know. But you know, if it keeps this way, I'm excited to see how it goes. And also, you know, it opens it up to be a bit more even keel as well, where they've sort of a similar, a Clara-esque relationship with the Doctor, where they're a bit more open with each other and they kind of don't care if they're as, I don't want to say mean, but like critical of each other as they might be if it was another dynamic. And it's great, you know, when she's like, "Oh, don't leave the baby," and he came back and she comes, "Oh, you left the baby." Like, "Well, you left it too." It's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about me."
Yeah, I like that bickering.
So I really like that dynamic, and it's similar with Shooty's performance as a whole. I'm excited to see where it goes, and I think, you know, we've pretty much, I think, got confirmed that they're going to be at least two series with these two. We're not sure about either of them for a third season yet, but hopefully we'll keep it going, and I'll be very, very sad to see them leave already. I fear what will happen, but that's the fun of the show.
So fun.
Yeah, happy times. So what's your third positive for the episode?
My third is, I guess, the Goblin designs and
that's one of my bonus ones.
Yeah, the design of them, the design of the king, and particularly the Goblin ship, I think is really cool. I love the look of that. I kind of like, you know, it's not like a full-on sci-fi spaceship kind of deal. I like that, you know, it's like a flying wooden pirate ship almost, and all the ropes and everything. I think it's just a very cool aesthetic to kind of go with. It suits the goblins for some reason. I don't know why it suits it, but it just does. And yeah, they're just weird little guys and gals and non-binary pals. So yeah, as soon as we kind of first got a glimpse of them, I don't know if they released a still or something of it. I was like, they're so weird. I love them. Yeah, they're very funny little things. I think like, I don't think they make like the biggest impact in the story or anything. I don't think they're like the best villain we've ever seen by a long shot. You know, there's not much to them. But I think the look of them was really cool. The way they were realized was fun. You know, I think they were quite confident because there was a lot of close-ups of those goblins, like dancing and all that kind of jazz. Going into the camera, and obviously that, you know, the band of goblins as well. The Goblin King was just gross, and I loved it. I loved his big, like, saliva-filled mouth and his big tongue gonna eat that baby. And lovely.
Is it Liz? Is it Liz?
Is it fun that Liz? Yeah, he looked like a Dark Souls boss. I appreciate that. And yeah, just all the aesthetics of the ship and everything. I thought it was really cool, and it all looked really good as well. So, you know, an interesting kind of visual Christmas foe, I guess. You know, and like the way they personalized some of them, like one of them had a Santa hat on, and one was dressed as like full-on pirate gear, and, you know, the Janice Goblin, etc. All of those little personalities, you know, it makes me want that Target novelization to see if they get individual characters in that. I have not I don't know when it's out or if it's even available yet.
No, I don't know.
It'd be an interesting purchase to see if the goblins get any characters in that. But visually, I thought they were a lot of fun, and I did enjoy, you know, kind of exploring their ship, and that whole sequence was really good.
Yeah, they were more scarecrows from Family of Blood than slabs from Smith and Jones.
Yes. Yeah,
if that makes sense.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I mean, the designs are great, and I'm really intrigued to see where they go, because we know they're going more around this kind of fantasy-esque monsters and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how long that stays. If this was just for this one and maybe only once or twice. But I'm glad that they're kind of opening the door to other sort of potentials. It's kind of like this is a mad reference. But when Primeval did that episode where they were like, "Oh, there's a dragon," and it was just a dinosaur had gone to the medieval world and then come through to our world and was being chased by a knight because they thought it was a dragon. It was a whole thing. But it's a similar thing to that, where although it's, you know, a sci-fi thing, they can tweak it slightly so that it's still sci-fi, but it's got a different element to it. And they're great. They did really well. I really liked the ship design. I liked how the ship sort of disappeared as well, where it sort of went.
Yeah, it's like
and vanished.
fairy dust.
Like, okay. Yeah. So that was quite nice. And considering the last time we saw something creepy like this, or something, you know, of this sort of monster, was the weird fairies in Torchwood. I'm very happy that they did not look like that, because they were horrifying.
They were horrifying.
Don't forget those.
I had nightmares for so many years of one of them, shoving the petals down my throat.
Horrific. But luckily, all these guys do is eat babies.
Yeah, thank God. And not just babies. They'd eat the Dr. Ruby too if they could.
They certainly would, yeah.
If they didn't sing and dance.
Yeah, I think the designs are great, and yeah, the big Goblin King as well. And I mean, if you watch the behind the scenes and you see, I think it's like 6 people to operate him, because he's just such a big boy. Yeah, I think it's great, and again, it's practical effects. So
thank God.
Let's hope that continues
yes.
for the foreseeable. My final positive is the music. Overall, I think I really liked. I think when 15's theme kicked in throughout the episode, I was like, "This is great. This is top tier. I love all of this." Obviously, the scene where he jumps onto the ladder, it's used very well there. And when he's pulling the ship, when he's jumping off the ship, when, you know, it's all great. I think the introduction of Ruby's theme as well, when she was speaking to Davina McCall, was quite nice as well. And because that was the one that I was very worried about. I was like, I don't see how that's going to fit in to an episode. But I was proved wrong. It did it successfully. So very pleased with that. And obviously the Goblin song was great. That was a fun time. We knew that was coming beforehand. But then Shooty's encore for the Goblin song, I did not even contemplate coming. And it was great. I really liked that. I thought that was it completely made sense within the story for them to sort of break out.
It was a cool resolution to don't kill us yet.
Yeah, to kind, you know, and how other doctors would just keep going and just keep talking and trying to talk their way out of it or whatever. The fact that he sort of leans into it and goes with what they're doing, I think it's great. And it's a shame that bit's not on Spotify, because I would be listening to that bit. But sadly, only the main one is.
We'll get it before the Series 10 soundtrack though, so it's fine.
Yeah, probably, to be fair. I think my only criticism with the music is the heavy breathing over the title sequence still. I think it's even in the beginning bit now, and I'm like, please, we don't need this.
It's in the opening titles as well.
Yeah, there's no need. Get rid of the heavy breathing, please. I don't know why it's in there. But you know, that's a minor thing. I think the music overall was great, and I'm excited to see what comes next for the whole series as well. Any additional positives?
Let's have a look. I thought learning the language of rope was a very doctor-y thing. I enjoyed that. I thought that was a fun little kind of character beat for him to try and work that out, and how the ship all tied to that. I thought it was very cool that after the whole Timeless Child stuff, the very next companion was adopted. I like that kind of parallel between her and the Doctor. So that, I think, that sense of how they can bond so quickly and easily, I thought was really nice. I mentioned it earlier, the Doctor and the policeman scene was probably my favourite scene in the first half of the episode. I thought that was a lovely bit of very Sherlocky, I think, that scene of him working out this is, you know, how I know you're going to propose and how I'm just going to say yes and everything. I just the Doctor spent so long on Earth. I think he would kind of at this point understand humans very well, especially if 15 has kind of lived through 14's, you know, fixed living on Earth.
Who knows what that is? Yeah.
Luck knows, we're probably never going to know, but that's fine until David Tennant comes back eventually. So yeah.
That's the 17th Doctor.
Yes, probably. So yeah, I thought that was a really nice little scene. Just a bit of a human moment. And just Ruby herself as well. I thought Ruby was good. I do think I'd be interested in seeing how she fares in the main series. I think, you know, it's hard coming into, I guess, a new part and everything like that. And I do feel like it felt very much like this is someone acting, which I didn't quite get with Shooty. But Ruby did also get a lot of like exposition lines and stuff with the adoption and everything. And I also felt like she said the same things quite a lot throughout the episode. I'm like, okay, we get it. So I think once the character kind of fleshes out a bit more and Millie has even more time in the role, she'll get better and better.
Yeah.
But you know, she was still great, and I still really enjoyed the idea of Ruby as a character and getting a brief glimpse of her life. And she had a few funny moments as well. I liked her just going with it and joining in the song. I thought that was a funny moment. Yeah. And you know, the goblin just like screaming at her. She's like, okay, I guess this is what's happening. And like she catches herself like, oh, I'm on the roof. What the hell? What on earth am I doing? And she still carries on and jumps on the ladder and everything. So I like that she just kind of throws herself into things. She abandoned the family on Christmas Day to go traveling through time and space.
Classic.
So, you know, she's a very spontaneous person. I wish I'd been there. So, you know.
Wait, you mean you haven't? You haven't done that? Oh.
No, not yet, sadly. One day my prince will come. But yeah, I very much enjoyed Ruby, and I'm looking forward to seeing what her character arc is. Because I kind of thought we would get the answers to her whole birth thing in this episode.
Clearly rookie mistake.
Well, it's because that leak I read, along with many other people, because it was ridiculous. I'm like, well, no way any of this is coming true. This is stupid. And then every single thing's been true. They had the resolution in that, so I know where it goes. So I assume because it was in that leak, that's been 100% true so far. I was like, well, that's obviously they got that because they know the script for this special as well as the 6th anniversary. So I think I know where this is all heading with that. So I thought because that was out there, it'll be in this one. But it's not, and that's fine. I look forward to seeing if it is accurate, and it probably will be. But you know, that's a fun thing for online people, I guess. So yeah, it's cool that she does kind of have that mystery and an arc about her, and I look forward to seeing Jodie Whittaker take that cloak off and reveal herself to be Ruby's mother for some reason.
Come on now, it will be Clara.
I would be over the moon if it was Clara, but it won't be. Jenna Coleman's very busy. She was actually in a trailer for a film I watched when I went to cinema.
Hey, she doesn't have to be there. She has to be there for one scene on a green screen. That's it. She doesn't have to be there anymore. So... That's true.
You're not wrong. No, it's obviously River.
Of course.
No, sorry, Mrs. Flood is River because Flood, water, River.
Oh,
obviously that makes sense. That's what everyone's been saying. I know Russell T Davies adores River as a character, but he'd just bring Alex Kingston back. I don't think he'd just get. I'm going to get her for the EastEnders in as his old woman.
She's not problematic enough to be like, you know, Alex Kingston's not problematic. You could bring it back without recasting.
Yeah. So all those theories are crazy, but I look forward to finding out exactly what that is and if it is what I read it to be. So far it does still all add up, so we'll find out. But yeah, I enjoyed Ruby. I'm looking forward to seeing more of her, essentially, is my bonus positive. And also I wrote to myself, I really want the shoes that the Doctor wears this episode. I love those trainers.
Yeah, they were good.
They're really cool. And you know, we're talking about the whole fantasy thing. You know, I don't want it to be like every single episode is like
no.
I don't want to change Doctor Who and not make a Doctor Who anymore by making it a fantasy show, because then it's like, well, we don't need to come up with new creations because let's just bring in this thing from a fairy tale or whatever. You know, I don't want it to be that, but I did think it was interesting that they started this episode with like Once Upon a Time and everything, and that's how the Starbase started. But thankfully in this opening it wasn't Shooter being like, if Ruby's taken by the goblins she will die. So, you know, I'm glad they've kind of learned and improved. First episode of next series, Once Upon a Time Lord. So, you know, I think there probably is something in that, and I am intrigued to see where that's all leading, the whole, you know, myths and things that start with the Toymaker. So, yeah, we'll see where it goes, and I am excited for that.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Sort of one of my other additional positives was just the humour in this. There's some nice bits of comedy, which I quite like. Obviously, especially when he gets hit with the snowman head and pops out the door. And then he's like, why are you taking a baby out at midnight? And it's just shopping. I was like, this is so silly, but it's fine. I get it. It's good. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's
one of Denise's daughters from EastEnders is just there. Like, it's my shopping.
But yeah, you know, I do appreciate that. And, you know, I saw that Moffat spoke in an article this week saying, you know, that when he and Russell writes Doctor Who, I think they're the same in that they always try and add in like a comedy.
Yeah, he said Doctor Who doesn't work without some comedy at times.
Yeah, and he's right. And you know, I'm not saying that it doesn't.
Especially for a family show, it needs to be funny.
Yeah, it just needs to make sure that it's doing it at the right times, which this one did. Again, especially with some of the stuff between Ruby and 15, I think, it's comedy gold.
Yeah, I obviously the icon and future Big Finish star Cherry Sunday was also very funny. Wanting a cup of tea.
Yes,
the true best arc in the Church of Ruby Road.
It really was.
Her finally getting her cup of tea at the end. I also really like Ruby's mum. That was just when I watched it today. I think the doctor's just like got Ruby back, and he like hugs her and runs off and everything. And Ruby's like, "Oh, did you?" He said something about like he went back. What does that mean? And her mum's just like, I don't know, he's crazy. It was just such a subtle line. It was so well delivered. I think I missed that the first time around, but that really made me laugh. So definitely some good comedy moments.
They are great. Yeah, 100%. Before we get into the negatives, the one thing I'm on the fence about at the minute is that Mrs. Flood thing at the end, in the mid credits. I mean, I think it's going to be a long burn for that one. It depends on how it goes in the future. We'll see how it is, but at the minute I'm kind of like, could you have done nothing more subtle?
Yeah, it was strange. I am intrigued because she doesn't seem to realize what it is at the start of the episode, but TARDIS being out there, and then when it disappears, you might think like, oh, she's just shocked that it's disappeared, but maybe that was her recognizing it. But she still looked around like, did anyone else see that? So maybe not. Yeah. And then particularly the last scene, she just knows what's going on. So I don't know what her deal is. But I could have done without her going, never seen a TARDIS before. That's just, I think, a new thing in this era, is it?
Because I kind of thought like she was still because when I first watched it and when I watched it a second time, like the guy kind of walks behind the camera, so I thought maybe she's still talking to the guy before. But then when the more you watch it on that, it's clearly supposed to be directly down the lens.
Yeah, she like winks at the camera and everything, doesn't she?
Literally,
I could have done without that, but they need to get you hooked into the next 5 months.
Yeah, I
think they could have done it better. But
and I think especially because a lot of Russell's like big story arcs before had been subtle in their mentions and hadn't needed literally a wink to the camera. So I'm intrigued to see if there's a reason why there's sort of been that change. Although a pretty subtle wink, I think, is the actress that played the housekeeper in Wild Blue Yonder was also in this episode again.
She is,
So that could be another thing. And that, again, that is more subtle than wink, wink, I'm someone, if it was that kind of thing, maybe it would have been a bit better. But I'm just on the fence. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, I think that will depend on exactly what her deal is. And maybe she is a character, the Deadpool-esque Doctor Who character who breaks the fourth wall and will get her own spin-off or something. But until that day, it was a strange thing. I'm glad it didn't like end the episode and they just put it in the middle of the credits. But I don't know. We'll see.
I think. I mean, you could have done without it. It'll be a long burn. I don't think we can really say whether it works or not until maybe the end of the next series, if not the one after.
Because they're filming their second series already, so it could very well be they just got the plans to have a multiple series arc, kind of like the Matt Smith era. That might be something they're going for. So who knows? We might not see her again for a year and a half now, for all we know.
We might never see her again.
They completely forget.
Leave it there, yeah.
The actress retires from acting in the interim. She's like, nah, I'm good actually. I won't come back.
I'm done. I've had enough now. Sorry, guys. They'll have to just change it. It's fine. So negatives. What's your first of the episode?
Davina McCall.
Same.
I really like Davina McCall.
Yeah.
I think she's a great presenter. A great presenter. I don't mind. Actually, I do, because I just don't like any of it. I think a little cameo, like when she voices a robot or whatever, fun. She was in it so much. Why?
Yeah, you could have just had it be the start, the cold open. That could have been it.
You could have just had Ruby say, "Oh, I'm a foundling" to her mum, and you don't need any of that at all. Yeah. It's just there to get to.
Well, especially considering the doctor's like, "Oh, I'm adopted. I was just found," and then she goes, "Oh, so was Ruby."
Yeah.
They explain
already
her
explain it,
background
yeah.
anyway in a later scene.
And they can't even say what the bloody show is because it airs on ITV.
Yeah, I know. Even
They
though they
called
consulted
from
with it though.
the TV show. That's a line I would say as a human being.
But you know, I just think like a cameo at the start's fine to say. You can have that scene at the start where it's like, you know, oh, I want to fight, because it also shows that things go wrong and the goblins are getting pesky.
Yeah.
But
they also already have goblins doing that in the episode anyway, with the snowman and everything. So we already know they're doing that to her. It's just completely just there to say, Davina McCall's in this one, and like him coming back to save her at the end. We don't need that either. That's just to give Davina McCall more screen time for some reason, I guess.
It's just that everyone at home can go, "Hooray!
Hooray! Yay!" But it's like, you know, the goblins are dead. They went back in time to save Ruby, so Ruby's not even having all these coincidences happening to her anymore, so it wouldn't be happening to Davina as well. And I'm like, I don't understand why that would... She doesn't need saving anymore. It's very weird. And even then, when they're like, so why were they going after Davina McCall? They're just like, for fun. Like, so it was pointless. You were even saying it was pointless that she's getting all this free time. It was so weird, especially because it just sacrifices, you know, like a good 10-15 minutes where we don't see Shooty as well. You know, a little brief cameo, fine. I still don't really like it when it does that, because ironically, I think bringing people in to play themselves makes it feel more of a TV show than time travel and goblins and wackiness like that. And it just completely takes me out of it personally.
I know what I mean.
Especially in the name of, you know, a lot of people watching is going to be like, who's that? It's not even like they would watch season 1 and see Davina McCall in it. They just hear her. And even then, I think her voice is, you know, she's older now.
Look, she doesn't remember doing series 1.
No one remembers season 1. Skip 9, as they famously say. But yeah, just, it would have been fine if it was like a brief scene or whatever, but it's so overdone. And it's just he's being killed.
And like she doesn't make any effort to try and stop the tree herself. If that thing's coming at me, I'm dropping my phone and being like, oh, but she's like, oh no.
It doesn't make sense that the goblins continue to go after her based on the rules that they established for them in the episode. They're trying to make coincidences. So it just, like, why are they wasting their time doing that? Eat some babies, for God's sake. Don't kill Davina McCall. You don't need to. And him going back to save her, like, Merry Christmas, Davina McCall. He might have have winked into the camera there. We basically have the setup for that as well. Very, very strange. I could live with it, but it definitely, I think that was the reason I felt the first like 20 minutes or so was really slow, because they felt the need to introduce Ruby's character backstory in that way. I would say it was definitely done to serve a cameo and to serve here's a thing we can post about, rather than this is what's best for the story.
Yeah, I think they probably looked at it and went, this is Christmas Day. We should probably have something that's a fun thing that will get people talking. And the idea for that was cat in the background.
Really? Oh, there's another cat asleep right next to him.
Another cat in the background.
Double cats, baby.
Actually,
I might. She's probably going to attack him, so I might shuffle this way a bit. You might hear some fighting in a minute. They can't stand each other. They hate each other. Oh, there she's climbing up. She's going to sleep in there.
Good. There we go. But yeah, I do think it was like, and you know, every Christmas special sort of has had a thing where it's like, oh, this is going to be happening in this one. Catherine Tate's in this one. Kylie Minogue's in this one.
I've just looked at him. Mrs. Studies.
Kylie Minogue.
I just worked it out. No, when you mentioned the special, my name is Max. Ding.
Yeah.
I put it all together.
That's all we want. The return of Max Capricorn. Oh god! But it did feel like they were like, we've had celebrity appearances in episodes in festive specials before, even like previously on one with the Aisling B and from Ghosts.
Oh yeah, I know.
The actress
Charlotte Ritchie.
Yeah.
When they're not playing Charlotte Ritchie. And
no. Kylie Minogue isn't playing Kylie Minogue. She's playing
like Mark Hamill when he's on What We Do in the Shadows, like the best episode of the show. He's not playing Mark Hamill. He's just playing a character, and it works. But all the other cameos in that show have been them playing themselves. I'm like, we don't need this.
Yeah. I think that's fair enough. But yeah, I agree. I think you could get rid of Davina McCall, but I think there's also the element of
the goblins tried.
It needed to be like an hour long, and they needed something else. So they went.
No one. The goblins. You could get rid of Davina McCall.
You get rid of the It's fine. You don't need her. She's not doing Big Brother anymore. You can get rid of her.
Yeah, we're coming to get you.
Literally.
And it's someone else being killed by a Christmas tree. Like, we get it, Russell.
Yeah. Hilarious. So your second negative.
My second. I think it tried to be too many different things, too many different genres. Again, sci-fi show taking the fantasy element, fine as a one-off. But I think this is what affected the first 20 minutes or so. It also just went and just outright like a BBC Sunday night kitchen sink drama as well. With the whole Ruby and Emma and everything. They're lovely scenes, but I don't think they're lovely scenes in Doctor Who. It's like Resolution, the scene with Ryan and his dad in the cafe. I'm like, okay, let's get back to the actual Doctor Who bit now. And we had that, but for 10 minutes rather than 5. I'm like, oh, please. So yeah, I think that's kind of why I am wary. Yeah, it wasn't very snappy. That's why I'm kind of like worried about the fact. Like, oh, I can't speak. No, goblins. I'm worried. They're like, don't you dare say something bad. Take his voice. But yeah, that's kind of why I am a bit worried about the whole fantasy thing, and I hope they don't lean too much into it so that it doesn't become Doctor Who anymore. But at the start, I think the editing's kind of all over the place. Where it's like, it's the 21st, and now 2 minutes later, it's the 24th, and all these little scenes are happening. Like, you could have cut half of these out, and then the pacing just grinds to a halt, and I'm like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah,
so I think it's a mesh of genres. I don't think it quite works in the way it needed to. It could have worked if we didn't have any Davina McCall stuff.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So it's also trying to be Long Lost Family.
Yeah. It was. I think it was Russell that said in the in-vision commentary about Disney suggesting an additional scene. I don't know whether they suggested that whole opening sequence, or if it was just the one with the Doctor. But if you take out the snowmen and the Doctor scene from that opening bit, then I think the episode's probably worse. So everyone will criticize Disney and be like, "Oh, I can't believe they're meddling," but they've probably made it better by suggesting that. And I mean, they wouldn't have said.
I think suggesting shooting earlier was wise.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And yeah, I do get what you mean, and it kind of leans into my second negative as well, which is that it just drags slightly. I've put in the middle, but I think it's probably in between when Ruby gets home.
Yeah, as soon as they escape the goblin ship, it's a slow a bit there. Yes, I think it's slow near the start. I think those are the two bits. I was like, okay.
Yeah. When they're in the flat, really, I think is when it is when she kind of gets off the bus.
Yeah.
And to when the goblins take the baby, I'm like, okay. Yeah. Okay, I know you're setting up as foster mum, and it does pay off later, but I was like, it could still be a bit more energetic, I guess.
I think energy is the right word for that. Yeah.
But maybe the thought was it's 5 p.m. on a Christmas day. Everyone's going to be lethargic from a big Christmas dinner, and no one's going to be like, oh yeah. Everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, all right, let's just watch Doctor Who.
I think when writing the script, it's people be bored, so I can write a boring scene, and something's gone wrong.
Well, you never know. That's probably what a lot of writers do think, to be fair. And especially,
then pay them less.
Wow. Yeah, but yeah,
there's nothing in the strikes.
That's especially with and I think it's been a popular thing to point out that like a lot of Netflix shows, when they want to binge it, it will be boring in the middle, but it'll only kick off at the start and the end because they want you to
they want you to keep watching,
get in there, and then it's like, but then there'll be something at the end where you go, oh my god, and then you stay on.
Stranger Things season 4, I didn't finish it. As I saw the length of those episodes, I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah. No,
yeah, 2 episodes. I'm like, no, I'm out.
Exactly, and hopefully Doctor Who won't. It has, with it normally being 45 minutes, it's kind of less. It doesn't normally faff with that.
Yeah.
But this has been an hour long.
Yeah.
The past 3 have been an hour long. I think the next series is an hour long each episode. Mm-hmm. So it will be interesting to see how it plays out, if it continues this trend, or if it.
We're gonna get a Mrs. Flood scene at the end of every episode.
She winks at the camera. I mean, because it kind of worked when you
never seen a giant slug before. Ding.
When you had
never seen Jonathan Groff before. Ding.
when you had like Missy turn up in series 8, like that worked quite well. But again, that wasn't breaking the fourth wall kind of thing. That was separate, clearly.
They were like 30-second scenes. Like Chris Addison. Oh, she's here too.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so that's my sort of second negative as well. Then your Your third one, your third negative, final negative.
My third. Music.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was a bit too much for me. I
Okay.
normally don't hear the music, but like
Mhm.
every single scene, I was like, I could just like.
Do you think that was because you weren't as engaged in the scenes?
Quite possibly. So that's still a negative in itself, I guess. You know, but I do also think the music at times got quite loud.
Yeah.
Some of it, you know, it does work like the action sequences. 15's theme, which, you know, when we first heard it, you could attest to. I wasn't that keen on it. But actually in the episode, I think that works really, really well. But there's just some other moments. I think it was like when, you know, Ruby was opening up about being adopted and everything. They were talking to her mum. She's like, oh, you know, you made my life what it is, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then the goblin shenanigans starts.
Feel emotional. Feel emotional.
Then, all the goblin stuff starts happening when they take the baby. And before they've even finished talking about it, it's like, I'm like, oh God. And I think like, maybe it's a sense of timing was maybe a bit off in that when things kick in. But, you know, I think, you know, music should often just be heard in the background apart from like the key moments. But for me, it felt like the music thought every moment was a key moment. I'm like, okay, let's just calm down. So it was a bit much for me personally, is all.
Yeah, and that could be down to the way it was mixed in. Yeah, maybe they've just, it is too loud, and whereas, you know, all that kind of thing. And I think
I did think it was just me, but there were some other people were saying it online as well. So I'm glad it wasn't just me for this one. But I didn't have that with 60 specials or anything. It was just this one in particular. No. Like,
and so again, maybe that is a case of the story is not necessarily pulling you in, so you're looking at.
Well, I mean,
you're consciously aware of everything else.
I was checking my Watch of Wild Blue Yonder.
Yeah, but to be fair, but there's not. I don't think there's that much music in Wild Blue Yonder, is there?
Take notes, Murray.
yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but I do get where you're coming from. That is a fair point to make. And we'll see how it goes moving forward.
Yeah, so even like the last third of the episode, I was like, I could hear a lot of this music, and I was a lot more into it then. And even today, you know, I enjoyed it a lot more throughout, and I was still like, ooh, hello.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I understand. My final negative, and it's something that I think a lot of people have sort of pulled out online, is why is the hooded woman still walking away when the Doctor returns to the TARDIS?
Because Mrs. Flood will do what Mrs. Flood wants to do.
Because a lot of people be like, oh, I would stop and watch a man pull down a spaceship from Earth. I'm like, yeah, but she should be gone by this point. She shouldn't even be there to see that happen.
Yeah.
Because I think
off screen, we went back in time again.
Well, this is the thing. But this is the thing is that because some people also said that doesn't time reset again when the ship is destroyed? So doesn't it go back to that 2 minutes after? So in theory, she's only just left the baby. I don't think it's necessarily clearly explained either.
No.
Whether it's gone back that 2 minutes because the Goblin ship's destroyed, or whether she literally was just there watching. Because you don't need to have that. The Doctor's already seen her walk away when he arrives. You don't need to have it like, oh yeah, there she goes again, still 5 steps away from me. Definitely knows I'm here, you know.
Yeah.
So I think I know you want to round the point home. I know you want to be like, oh, who's this? But that was like the third time that we'd seen her. We already get that she's been left there. I don't think you need to have it again and make it as strange as it is. Even if you could even just have it like Herbie stood further away and just have the hooded figure just turn away after he gets back to show that she was watching. But I don't know, it's a little nitpick because even when I first watched it, I was like, how is she still there? How is she still walking in that same spot that she was in before he brought down a whole bloody ship? How can she still be there? So it's
her shoelace was undone. She's just that tired.
Well, this is it.
Oh my God, it's Donna. She misses everything.
Oh, of
course. All the pieces together.
Of course.
They've got to bring her back at some point.
God, yeah. But yeah, it's a very small nitpick, but it's just something that stood out for me from the first watch. And that I know I've seen other people be like, why is she still there? But again, that's something that I know we're going to end up revisiting. And Russ already said that we're going to be back in that graveyard at one point. So
when Ruby dies.
We'll see.
Well, that's going to be the full circle thing, isn't it? They'll bury her in the church where she was found.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, if they ever get that far. Have you got any other negatives for the episode?
Let's have a look. I just thought some of the editing was a bit weird, particularly at the start. Like, it once again made me laugh, and Davina was like, "I love that. That was great." And Mrs. Flood had one like that as well. I'm like, "You've never liked me."
Yeah.
So a few things like that was a choice, and I think that also added to the first act for me feeling a bit like, "Oh, this is a bit all over the place." You know, I like the idea of the gloves. I wish we'd seen him like invent them. I think it would have felt a bit less. Aha, James Bond like had the exact gadget to get us out of this mess. Like it took the tension away. I'm like, well, they're not going to fall off, so don't need to worry about that. But it was cool how that paid off with him pulling the ship down. So I can kind of get over that one. Where else am I? The whole Goblin plot I found a bit hard to follow. Like this time around, I was like, okay, I can see like why they feed on coincidence or whatever. But I'm like, at this point, Ruby doesn't have his coincidences around her, so why are they going back to her as a baby? Like she doesn't have any of that, so she's going to be gross. You just doing it out of revenge? We don't really know.
I think that's basically what they're doing. They're like, fuck this child, we're going to eat it instead.
This disgusting baby anyway. But you know, explaining that would have been nice.
Maybe there'll be something in the future where it explains why they went for their baby as a baby, because more coincidences down the line. I don't know.
Yeah, I think maybe a bit more explanation could have been done with there. And just making the whole plot about coincidences and just like, well, that's all right then. You know, it's the same thing. Like, if you point out that this is something that happens all the time, well, that's okay then. You can put that in. It doesn't excuse the fact that even more so than ever, there's coincidences galore in this. Even if goblins are causing it cool, it's still an excuse to kind of write a lazy-ish story, isn't it? It's not like So you know, I get the story, but also it's a very weird thing for goblins to want to feed on, like a very, you know, coincidental baby or whatever. But again, maybe this is opening up to a wider thing of bringing other fantasy creatures in, etc., etc. So it could have a major payoff, and it could be nothing else but this to introduce Ruby. We'll see. But I think that's everything.
Yep. No, I think that's fair enough.
And also,
additional one.
We're not going to get it because I know we're probably getting a musical episode next series, but no more villain seeing sequences for a while, please.
Yeah.
We've already killed it.
They've done it. They've done it too many times. I mean, I like this one, but I think it needs.
If every villain does it, then they might as well have them do it.
Yeah. I think it now needs to be just left until there's a specific musical episode, or unless the character is necessary for it.
Yeah, and if we are getting a musical episode, it's episode 2, so we might have one episode off and then we get another villain singing. So like,
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Because I mean, you could argue that in theory, this is the only time that, because the Toymaker wasn't singing, he was doing a dance number.
Well, that's all right then.
Yeah, exactly. And then the same with the Master, he wasn't singing, it was a dance number. But I know what you mean, musical numbers overall.
Yeah.
Rather than singing.
I know Russell loves them, but let's tone it down.
Yeah, we'll see. Because I mean, we only got the one in, the 2 actually, back-to-back episodes in series 3, in the finale. But that was it.
And The Devil in Me.
Oh yes, of course. And every single, to be fair, every single Christmas special that he did have a musical, like did have a song for it, didn't it? So
of course it did.
It fits that theme at least. But you know, my only other negative is that we only got that outfit with Shooty and the cowboy hat in that one scene.
I know, like his official outfit he wore for 10 seconds, and we're probably never going to see it again.
He just stood in the corner, creepily in the background, with his cowboy hat on, staring like, you weirdo.
It was a funny shot.
But
it felt like a shot of the other episode they accidentally put in this one. It just like
yeah. It's like, he wasn't supposed to be there. They just shot that as behind the scenes footage and just went, that works. We'll put it in.
Maybe it's going to be the thing in series 5 where the Doctor's talking to Amy and he doesn't have his jacket on.
Yes. See, this is what
that was weird.
Could be, because
fire this continuity now. But they did rubbish, and it turns out like
it was intentional, because when he arrives back from saving Davina McCall to and then go back in the TARDIS, then when Ruby comes out, he's changed his outfit. So people have been like, did he piss off again?
Yeah.
in that time.
I've heard some people say, he's gone on adventures with Mrs. Flood, so that's why they know why she knows what TARDIS is and everything. Because it could have happened. He's changed his outfit. Time's passed.
Maybe. Who knows? But yeah, we'll have to see. That's all in the future. We'll find out hopefully in May. We may find out in May.
It's gonna be May
when it comes out. Have you got any fun facts for this episode? I know it only aired
I do.
literally 2 weeks ago.
I actually do have a few. Where is it?
Oh.
Oh yeah, put them on top. There we go. The title of the episode was revealed prior to any BBC announcements by Disney Plus's social media, including it in a promotional image detailing season's streamings. Hilarious, 10 out of 10. Love it. I mean, it was already in the leak, but still, I didn't enjoy that very much. This is the first time in the revived series that a Doctor's first Christmas special does not include the word Christmas in the title, following the Christmas Invasion, A Christmas Carol, and Last Christmas. So obviously Jodie didn't.
They should have called it A Christmas on Ruby Road.
Oh, never mind. Maybe they'll actually change it on Disney Plus or something. The Church on Ruby Road marks the third shortest gap between a regeneration story and its follow-up at 16 days, following a 7-day gap between the end of the 10th planet and the start of the Power of the Daleks, and a 6-day gap between the end of the Caves of Androzani and the start of the Twin Dilemma.
Well, I suppose were they mid-season regenerations?
I believe, yes, I think they were.
It must have been
like the last story of the season,
yeah.
Yes, I'm pretty sure they got rid of Hartnell a bit early.
Give us a mid-season regeneration, Russell, you coward.
I was watching episode 4 in May. No, not like that. Shooty, no! Come back. But it's okay because Shooty's also playing the 16th Doctor.
Of course.
So he just stays the same.
Regeneration. A classic regeneration.
He gets spare hand in episode 2, and then he can use that to regenerate into it.
Yeah.
So there we go. The Goblin song was released on December the 11th, with proceeds going to children in need. On December 14th, a thank you message was posted thanking people for supporting the song by Janice Goblin, a play on Janis Joplin. Russell T Davies later clarified that the Doctor referring to the Goblin as Janice in the episode itself is actually a reference to Janice from the Muppets. So they actually invented all those Goblin names afterwards, which is fun. I would love to have been there for the meeting where they came up with all the pun names for the Goblins. I'd have been in my element. I'd have loved it.
Oh, isn't one called Bob Goblin or something?
It's something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Excellent work. 10 out of 10. The Doctor and Ruby's first meeting in the club was inspired by Russell's first meeting with his late husband, which is very sweet.
Very wholesome,
This episode marks the first time a Doctor and companion have performed a musical number on screen. But it won't be the last. Wink. What? Never seen the musical episode before? God's sake. We found our new meta. Yay. Friendship ended with Target novelization. You've never seen X before is my best friend.
Oh, God.
Deeming the Toymaker to be a fantasy character, Russell T Davies was inspired to include goblins in a story, a more traditional fantasy species. He sent the episode script to former showrunner Stephen Moffat, who remarked his surprise that they hadn't been used in the show already. Whatever wonders will they give us?
We have had, like I said, fairies in Torchwood, so I'm surprised.
It is mad that it's taken this long.
Yeah.
It literally took them 60 years to think of goblins. If you want to visit the real church on Ruby Road, it's St Mary's Church in Newport, Wales. So there you go.
Nobody wants to go to Newport though, so
no, that's true. No, that's fair. Come to this Newport where I am. This is the first episode since Village of the Angels and the first Christmas special since Last Christmas to include a mid-credit scene. Although not expressed in the episode, the show Davina McCall is hosting is likely ITV show Long Lost Family, as she hosts it in real life.
It is. I think
Russell on the wiki.
I think Russell said that they or Davina said that Russell contacted the show and was like, they want to
get it right.
We want to effectively put your show in this.
We would like your TV show to be in the
yeah, basically.
In the Disney Plus version of the episode, a teaser for the upcoming series plays following the TARDIS reveal scene at the end, followed by the mid-credit scene, and then the full credits. So they just cut it a bit differently. So something fun for you streaming folks out there internationally. And then finally, while not confirmed as the same location in universe, the building the snowman falls from is the same building used for Hendrix department store in Rose. So
Yay!
It's all connected, maybe. What a coincidence! You never
Uh-huh.
seen a coincidence before?
Never seen a giant snowman head fall from the sky before.
We're walking
Oh.
in the air.
Oh, terrible. Lovely stuff. What are out of 10 you giving this episode?
A solid 7, I think.
Nice. Mine is a solid 8.
Nice.
I think I did get a lot more. Well, not a lot more, but I got more enjoyment out of it. I think than you did.
Yeah.
But I think it's a solid episode. I think of the 4 we got in the space of a month. Well, a month and a bit last year. I think this was probably maybe the second best, maybe the third best. I think it's tied second, maybe with the Star Beast for me.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it'd be hard to. I think the tones are different for both of them.
Yeah.
But this is a lot more small scale than the 60th episodes were, which was nice. A nice change of pace.
Yeah, I did enjoy the 15th Doctor sailing off into the Giggle to adventures and possibilities unknown, and he just stayed on Earth and stalked Ruby for a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolute scenes.
Well, that we know of. Come on now.
Until the novelization confirms that he's been doing all sorts of stuff.
But as soon as Big Finish can get their mitts on it, that'll be it. Adventures galore. He'll have met River. He'll have met Jackie Tyler. He'll have fought hundreds of Slitheen.
Cherry and Mrs. Flood are his companions.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, that's it for today. We'll probably be back at some point to sort of discuss the new series, which comes out in May. Got quite a few months yet, but they did release a short teaser sort of at the end of that. So we'll probably come down and chat about that. We still need to talk about Robot of Sherwood.
It's been so long. It's been so long.
We have to rewatch the episode now. 2 times for us to do that.
I was flicking through my notes today, being like, "Have we done this?" I genuinely couldn't remember if we've done it or not. I was like, I can't delete it just in case. But I really don't think we have. Yeah. One day.
That'll be coming up. I can probably say with some confidence it will be out in January. Robot of Sherwood.
That's true. I mean, we don't have any new Doctor Who to talk about for a while now, so I think we're going to have time. I can guarantee it will be before season 1/series 14 begins.
That's bold.
Just Robot of Sherwood, nothing else.
yeah, nothing else.
This one can wait until series 14 starts.
Yeah. And Robot of Sherwood will be literally the day before the series 14 starts.
Because now it's 2024, we're 10 years behind again. We need to.
There we go. Yeah. God.
We must always be 10 years behind. That's all.
Exactly. That'll be out soon. Because I do really want to dive deep into Peter Capaldi's era, because I see so many clips online. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, I really want to rewatch that. And I'm like, I can't rewatch that because I need to wait.
Yeah.
So we will crack on with that. And any other Doctor Who news that sort of comes out and about in the next sort of 5 months between now and May, we'll almost definitely cover. Unless they do Doomsday 2, in which case we will not be there for Doomsday 2. I'm sorry.
They did put the Toymaker in that app game though.
Did you see that? and Meep and the Toymaker both in
that excellent game with rewarding gameplay.
Lost in
Time or something, isn't it?
Lost in Time, Dimensions in Time.
So good, we can't remember the name.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, that's it for now. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.